Language Foundations Vocabulary Flashcards, helping you achieve understanding.
Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Sever or remove by pinching or snipping. Terminate or abbreviate before its intended or proper end or its full extent. Run at a moderately swift pace. A metal frame or container holding cartridges can be inserted into an automatic gun. An instance or single occasion for some event. He could do 10 at a clip. The act of clipping or snipping. An article of jewelry that can be clipped onto a hat or dress. Any of various small fasteners used to hold loose articles together. A sharp slanting blow. He gave me a clip on the ear. Attach with a clip. Clip the papers together. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. The yield from plants in a single growing season. Let feed in a field or pasture or meadow. Prepare for crops. Feed as in a meadow or pasture. A pouch in many birds and some lower animals that resembles a stomach for storage and preliminary maceration of food. A collection of people or things appearing together. The annual crop of students brings a new crop of ideas. A cultivated plant that is grown commercially on a large scale. Cut short. She wanted her hair cropped short. The output of something in a season. The latest crop of fashions is about to hit the stores. The stalk or handle of a whip. Yield crops. This land crops well. Cut down on. Make a reduction in. The employer wants to cut back health benefits. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Place restrictions on. Return in time. The film cut back to an earlier event in the story. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Dress the plants in the garden. Suitable for formal occasions. A full dress uniform. Kill and prepare for market or consumption. Dress a turkey. A one-piece garment for a woman, has skirt and bodice. Of an occasion, requiring formal clothes. A dress dinner. Put on clothes. We had to dress quickly. Decorate, food, as with parsley or other ornamental foods. Clothing in general. Fastidious about his dress. Provide with clothes or put clothes on. Parents must feed and dress their child. Arrange in ranks. Dress troops. Dress or groom with elaborate care. She likes to dress when going to the opera. Provide with decoration. Dress the windows. Give a neat appearance to. Dress the horses. Dress in a certain manner. She dresses in the latest Paris fashion. Arrange attractively. Dress my hair for the wedding. Clothing of a distinctive style or for a particular occasion. Battle dress. Apply a bandage or medication to. Dress the victim's wounds. Convert into leather. Dress the tanned skins. Cut down rough-hewn lumber to standard thickness and width. Put a dressing on. Dress the salads. Put a finish on. Dress the surface smooth. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Cut off from a hole. Weed out unwanted or unnecessary things. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Dried plum. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Sever or remove by pinching or snipping. A small piece of anything, especially a piece that has been snipped off. The act of clipping or snipping. Cut down on. Make a reduction in. Cultivate, tend, and cut back the growth of. Thin and fit. A body kept trim by exercise. Cutting down to the desired size or shape. Neat and smart in appearance. A trim beard. Decorate, food, as with parsley or other ornamental foods. Remove the edges from and cut down to the desired size. Trim the photograph. Of places, characterized by order and neatness, free from disorder. A trim little sailboat. Severely simple in line or design. A decoration or adornment on a garment. The trimming on a hat. A state of arrangement or appearance. In good trim. Cut closely. Trim my beard. Adjust, sails on a ship, so that the wind is optimally used. Attitude of an aircraft in flight when allowed to take its own orientation. Balance in flight by regulating the control surfaces. Trim an airplane. Be in equilibrium during a flight. The airplane trimmed. Decorate, as with ornaments. Trim the Christmas tree. A tart, spicy quality. Sever or remove by pinching or snipping. Nip off the flowers. The taste experience when a savory condiment is taken into the mouth. The property of being moderately cold. Offensive slang. Offensive term for a person of Japanese descent. A small sharp bite or snip. A small drink of liquor. Squeeze tightly between the fingers. Give a small sharp bite to. The Queen's corgis always nip at her staff's ankles. Sever or remove by pinching or snipping. Nip off the flowers. Sever or remove by pinching or snipping. Terminate or abbreviate before its intended or proper end or its full extent. Personal freedom is curtailed in many countries. Place restrictions on. Curtail drinking in school. Make shorter as if by cutting off. Terminate or abbreviate before its intended or proper end or its full extent. My speech was cut short. Interrupt before its natural or planned end. We had to cut short our vacation. Cause to end earlier than intended. Run at a moderately swift pace. Even up the edges of a stack of paper, in printing. Continue talking or writing in a desultory manner. This novel rambles on and jogs. A slow pace of running. A slight push or shake. A sharp change in direction. There was a jog in the road. Give a slight push to. Run for exercise. Jog along the canal. Stimulate to remember. Jog my memory. Run at a moderately swift pace. A slow pace of running. A literal translation used in studying a foreign language, often used illicitly. Radicals who support Trotsky's theory that socialism must be established throughout the world by continuing revolution. A gait faster than a walk. Diagonally opposite legs strike the ground together. Cuz to trot. She trotted the horse home. Ride at a trot. A metal frame or container holding cartridges can be inserted into an automatic gun. A metal frame or container holding cartridges can be inserted into an automatic gun. A business firm that publishes magazines. He works for a magazine. A metal frame or container holding cartridges can be inserted into an automatic gun. A light tight supply chamber holding the film and supplying it for exposure as required. A storehouse, as a compartment on a warship, where weapons and ammunition are stored. A periodic publication containing pictures and stories and articles of interest to those who purchase it or subscribe to it. It takes several years before a magazine starts to break even or make money. Product consisting of a paperback periodic publication as a physical object. Tripped over a pile of magazines. A reading of a point in time is given by a clock. Do you know what time it is? Rhythm is given by division into parts of equal duration. An instance or single occasion for some event. This time he succeeded. The period of time a prisoner is imprisoned. He is doing time in the county jail. Measure the time or duration of an event or action or the person who performs an action in a certain period of time. The fourth coordinate that is required, along with 3 spatial dimensions, to specify a physical event. Adjust so that a force is applied and an action occurs at the desired time. The good player times his swing so as to hit the ball squarely. An indefinite period, usually marked by specific attributes or activities. The time of year for planting. A period of time considered as a resource under your control and sufficient to accomplish something. Take time to smell the roses. A person's experience on a particular occasion. He had a time holding back the tears. Assign a time for an activity or event. The candidate carefully timed his appearance at the disaster scene. A suitable moment. It is time to go. Regulate or set the time of. Time the clock. Set the speed, duration, or execution of. We time the process to manufacture our cars very precisely. The continuum of experience in which events pass from the future through the present to the past. He waited for a long time. An excerpt cut from a newspaper or magazine. He searched through piles of letters and clippings. Cutting down to the desired size or shape. The act of clipping or snipping. Lessen the strength or flavor of a solution or mixture. Become sparser. Make sparse. Thin out the young plants. The omission that is made when an editorial change shortens a written passage. Weed out unwanted or unnecessary things. We had to lose weight, so we cut the sugar from our diet. Cut down on. Make a reduction in. The employer wants to cut back health benefits. The act of penetrating or opening open with a sharp edge. His cut in the lining revealed the hidden jewels. Made neat and tidy by trimming. In baseball, a batter's attempt to hit a pitched ball. He took a vicious cut at the ball. Used of rates or prices, reduced usually sharply. Lessen the strength or flavor of a solution or mixture. Cut bourbon. Cut and assemble the components of. Cut recording tape. Used of grass or vegetation, cut down with a hand implement or machine. Reduce in scope while retaining essential elements. The act of cutting something into parts. His cuts were skillful. Refuse to acknowledge. She cut him dead at the meeting. Turn sharply. Change direction abruptly. The car cut to the left at the intersection. Be able to manage or manage successfully. She could not cut the long days in the office. Mixed with water. Sold cut whiskey. A refusal to recognize someone you know. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. The barber gave him a good cut. Sports. A stroke that puts reverse spin on the ball. Cuts do not bother a good tennis player. Style and tailor in a certain fashion. Cut a dress. With parts removed. The drastically cut film. A wound made by cutting. He put a bandage over the cut. Create by duplicating data. Cut a disk. Cease, stop. Cut the noise. Cut off the testicles, of male animals such as horses. A piece of meat that has been cut from an animal carcass. Make out an issue. Cut a ticket. A trench resembling a furrow that was made by erosion or excavation. A remark capable of wounding mentally. The unkindest cut of all. Intentionally fail to attend. Cut class. A distinct selection of music from a recording or a compact disc. He played the first cut on the CD. The division of a deck of cards before dealing. He insisted that we give him the last cut before every deal. Of a male animal, having the testicles removed. A cut horse. Cuss to stop operating by disengaging a switch. Cut the engine. A canal made by erosion or excavation. Allow incision or separation. This bread cuts easily. An unexcused absence from class. He was punished for taking too many cuts in his math class. A share of the profits. Everyone got a cut of the earnings. A step on some scale. He is a cut above the rest. Discharge from a group. The coach cut 2 players from the team. Dissolve by breaking down the fat of. Soap cuts grease. Divide a deck of cards at random into 2 parts to make selection difficult. Wane cut. Fashioned or shaped by cutting. A well-cut suit. Fell by sawing. Hew. The Vietnamese cut a lot of timber while they occupied Cambodia. Film. An immediate transition from one shot to the next. The cut from the accident scene to the hospital seemed too abrupt. Form by probing, penetrating, or digging. Cut a hole. Form or shape by cutting or incising. Cut paper dolls. Function as a cutting instrument. This knife cuts well. Give the appearance or impression of. Cut a nice figure. Grow through the gums. The new tooth is cutting. Have a reducing effect. This cuts into my earnings. Have grow through the gums. The baby cut a tooth. Hit a ball with a spin so that it turns in the opposite direction. Cut a ping pong ball. Make an abrupt change of image or sound. Cut from one scene to another. Make an incision or separation. Cut along the dotted line. Make a recording of. Cut the songs. Move one's fist. His opponent cut upward toward his chin. Pass directly and often in haste. We cut through the neighbor's yard to get home sooner. Pass through or across. The boat cut the water. Penetrate injuriously. The glass from the shattered windshield cut into her forehead. Perform or carry out. Cut a caper. Reap or harvest. Cut grain. Record a performance on a medium. Cut a record. Separated into parts or laid open or penetrated with a sharp edge or instrument. The cut surface was modeled. Separate with or as if with an instrument. Shorten as if by severing the edges or ends of. Cut my hair. Stop filming. Cut a movie scene. The act of reducing the amount or number. The mayor proposed extensive cuts in the city budget. The style in which a garment is cut. A dress of traditional cut. Of pages of a book, having the folds of the leaves trimmed or slit. The cut pages of the book. Edit by omitting or modifying parts considered indelicate. Reduce in scope while retaining essential elements. The manuscript must be shortened. Become short or shorter. In winter, the days shorten. Make shorter than originally intended. Reduce or retrench in length or duration. He shortened his trip due to illness. Make short or shorter. Shorten the skirt. A small stream. Have a particular form. The story or argument runs as follows. Perform as expected when applied. Does this old car still run well? Compete in a race. He is running the marathon this year. Become undone. A row of unraveled stitches. She got a run in her stocking. A score in baseball made by a runner touching all 4 bases safely. The Yankees scored 3 runs in the bottom of the 9th. Run, stand, or compete for an office or a position. Who's running for treasurer this year? Come unraveled or undone as if by snagging. Her nylons were running. Direct or control projects, businesses, etc. She is running a relief operation in the Sudan. Extend or continue for a certain period of time. The film runs 5 hours. A race between candidates for elective office. He is raising money for a Senate run. Include as the content, broadcast or publicize. Pass over, across, or through. The act of testing something. Travel a route regularly. Carry out a process or program, as on a computer or a machine. Run a new program on the Mac. Flee. Take to one's heels, cut and run. If you see this man, run. Cause something to pass or lead somewhere. Have a tendency or disposition to do or be something, be inclined. These dresses run small. Stretch out over a distance, space, time, or scope. Run or extend between 2 points or beyond a certain point. Service runs all the way to Cranberry. The act of running, traveling on foot at a fast pace. He broke into a run. Cause to emit recorded audio or video. Keep company. The heifers run with the bulls to produce offspring. Change or be different within limits. Interest rates run from 5 to 10%. Deal in illegally, such as arms or liquor. Continue to exist. A race run on foot. She broke the record for the half-mile run. An unbroken series of events. Nicholas had a run of birdies. Reduce or cause to be reduced from a solid to a liquid state, usually by heating. The pouring forth of a fluid. American football. A play in which a player attempts to carry the ball through or past the opposing team. The defensive line braced to stop the run. Be diffused. These dyes and colors are guaranteed not to run. Move along, of liquids. Progress by being changed. Run through your presentation before the meeting. Pursue for food or sport, as of wild animals. The dogs are running deer. An unbroken chronological sequence. The play had a long run on Broadway. A regular trip. The ship made its run in record time. A short trip. Take a run into town. Be affected by, be subjected to. Run at temperature. Be operating, running or functioning. The car is still running, turn it off. Carry out. Run an errand. Cause an animal to move fast. Run the dogs. Cause to perform. Run a subject. Change from one state to another. Run amok. Cover by running. Run a certain distance. Make without a miss. Move about freely and without restraint, or act as if running around in an uncontrolled way. Who are these people running around in the building? Move fast by using one's feet, with 1 foot off the ground at any given time. Don't run, you'll be out of breath. Occur persistently. Musical talent runs in the family. Run with the ball, in such sports as football. Sail before the wind. Set animals loose to graze. The continuous period of time during which something, a machine or a factory, operates or continues in operation. The assembly line was on a 12-hour run. The production achieved during a continuous period of operation, of a machine or factory, etc. A daily run of 100,000 gallons of paint. Travel rapidly, by any, unspecified, means. She always runs to Italy, because she has a lover there. Unrestricted freedom to use. He has the run of the house. A mechanical device for holding something and supplying it as needed. A representative form or pattern. I profited from his example. Something to be imitated. An occurrence of something. But there is always the famous example of the Smiths. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. This patient provides a typical example of the syndrome. Punishment intended as a warning to others. They decided to make an example of him. A task performed or problem solved in order to develop skill or understanding. You must work the examples at the end of each chapter in the textbook. A specific size and style of type within a type family. An enveloping structure or covering enclosing an animal or plant organ or part. The enclosing frame around a door or window opening. A person of a specified kind, usually with many eccentricities. A mental case. Printing. The receptacle in which a compositor has his type, which is divided into compartments for the different letters, spaces, or numbers. For English, a compositor will ordinarily have 2 such cases, the uppercase containing the capitals and the lowercase containing the small letters. The quantity contained in a case. The housing or outer covering of something. The clock has a walnut case. Bed linen consisting of a cover for a pillow. The burglar carried his loot in a pillowcase. A special set of circumstances. It may rain, in which case the picnic will be cancelled. An occurrence of something. It was a case of bad judgment. Enclose in, or as if in, a case. My feet were encased in mud. Nouns or pronouns or adjectives, often marked by inflection, related in some way to other words in a sentence. A comprehensive term for any proceeding in a court of law whereby an individual seeks a legal remedy. A person who is subjected to experimental or other observational procedures. Someone who is an object of investigation. The cases that we studied were drawn from 2 different communities. A glass container used to store and display items in a shop or museum or home. A person requiring professional services. A typical case was the suburban housewife described by a marriage counselor. A portable container for carrying several objects. The musicians left their instrument cases backstage. A problem requiring investigation. Perry Mason solved the case of the missing heir. A specific state of mind that is temporary. A case of the jitters. A statement of facts and reasons used to support an argument. He stated his case clearly. Look over, usually with the intention to rob. They men cased the house. The actual state of things. That was not the case. An occurrence of something. Another instance occurred yesterday. Clarify by giving an example of. An item of information that is typical of a class or group. The act of cutting something off. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. An excerpt cut from a newspaper or magazine. The act of penetrating or opening open with a sharp edge. The activity of selecting the scenes to be shown and putting them together to create a film. The act of diluting something. The cutting of whiskey with water. The act of cutting something into parts. His cutting of the cake made a terrible mess. A part, sometimes a root or leaf or bud, removed from a plant to propagate a new plant through rooting or grafting. Of speech, harsh or hurtful in tone or character. Cutting remarks. The act of shortening something by chopping off the ends. Painful as if caused by a sharp instrument. A cutting wind. Removing parts from hard material to create a desired pattern or shape. The division of a deck of cards before dealing. The cutting of the cards soon became a ritual. Unpleasantly cold and damp. A piece cut off from the main part of something. An adornment, as a bracelet or ring or necklace, made of precious metals and set with gems, or imitation gems.
Become our student and get access to effective and free educational materials. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to become a part of our growing YouTube community and to learn English effectively.